Okay, so welcome back to both of you. Nice to see you again. Good chat. Let's dive into today's quotes as usual. Nice lead into our lesson, which is another review lesson for today, which focuses in on grievances. Talk about what grievances are, what they do, how the ego uses them, and most importantly, how we can let them go to awaken to who we really are. So we'll cover the lesson. We'll do a meditation, quote, and the teaching around the quote, and it should take us to about an hour. So let's aim for about quarter past, 20 past 10 or 9, depending on your time, either one of you. Okay, so I'm just going to share my screen. All right, so can you both see that?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. Make it a bit bigger. Let's make it 125%. Kim, if you can kick it off for us kindly by reading the inspirational quote for the day at the top there.
Every grievance you hold hides a little more of the light of the world from your eyes until the darkness becomes overwhelming. Everything you forgive restores that light. So ask yourself, who is it that you are really hurting?
Really good quote by an Australian author named Donna Goddard, where she's just stating the simple truth about what you're doing to yourself when you hold any grievance. And she's asking us to be totally honest with ourselves, isn't she? Which obviously our ego or belief in separation and scarcity will not like at all. Doesn't like this kind of honesty. Or is it's trying to project onto someone else and say, well, it's their fault, they to blame. And if I blame them, if I accuse them, if I attack them, then somehow that's actually helping. But she's saying, but, ask yourself, who am I really hurting here? And if you're honest about that, this radical self-honesty will help you uncover its dark ways and let them go. So you stop hurting yourself, which is what holding any grievance really amounts to: self-attack and self-harm. So no wonder Yeshua calls the ego totally insane. Any thought system that attacks love and its plan for your happiness and awakening from all forms of suffering and death can only be mad. But what can you really expect from what is a death wish? Would you expect anything other than pain and misery and suffering and ultimately death from a death wish? Well, logically, you wouldn't. So we talked about these kinds of topics in the first part of the bonus discussion and meditation for today, particularly the nature and origin of grievances. We talked about how grievances and expectations, what Yeshua calls idle wishes, and of course in Miracles, the Buddha called tana, which literally means thirst in Pali, but is usually translated as craving in English, are really two sides of the same illusory coin. Whether you're craving or you have grievances, aversion is the craving for something not to be that way. Saying I desire it not to be that way. That's called aversion or a grievance. But they're two sides of the same coin, and we've got to recognize that this is the case. That desire and grievances, although they seem to be different, are not really different. They're just two different aspects of the same thought system of the ego. And then we talked about how to let them go using a simple 4-step formula. So this is about stopping, being present, realizing that there's a choice to be made, realizing what it is that you're looking on, awareness, and then a choice to let go. So every forgiveness or letting go process can be boiled down in the end to two simple steps. First of all, you must be aware of what's going on, awareness of the choices, and then the second phase of it is the choice to let it go. You choose the truth over the illusion, you let go of illusions, you embrace the truth. And it's always that two-step process. We also read and discussed yesterday's workbook lesson and the text. And we did a group meditation, which you featured, Kim. There you are. You're experiencing some of the negative charge you were feeling related to a challenging situation. Do you remember the session?
It was a Sunday. Yeah, I remember that. 5
Expectation.
years ago.
Yeah, it was 5 years ago. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a little blast from the past. If you go watch it, you can
Yes.
watch and listen as how you were 5 years ago. Okay, well that's interesting. Have I progressed in my awakening? Have I progressed in my understanding? Can be quite interesting to do that. So as a title, expectations and grievances, the two faces of the ego, just like heads and tails. It's part of the same coin. They're apparently opposite, but are they really? They're actually part of the same thing. And the ego likes to fool us and go, an expectation and a grievance are total polar opposites. But they're not, because as soon as you have an expectation, then what do you set yourself up for?
A grievance.
A grievance. Yeah. Because if your expectation isn't met, then you're justified in having a grievance. That's how it works. So the more expectations you have, the more grievances you're going to have. So why the Buddha, being the student of human nature, the human psyche that he was, noted that all desire is the source of all suffering. So your expectations cause all of your suffering. Why? Because you're going to have a grievance when your desire isn't met. And even if your desire is met, often there's a bit of a temporary, oh wow, and then a feeling of a bit of a letdown and a bit flat. Have you ever had that? You're like, oh, I really, really wanted this, worked so hard for it, waited so long, and then it actually happens, and you go, okay.
Yeah.
Now it's kind of happened, and it's all a bit flat. I mean, Christmas is a classic example. We do it every year.
Mm.
Oh, no, Christmas would be great. And then it comes and it goes, all the lead up, all the build up, and then bang, over in one day, done. Okay, so what did we actually do on Christmas Day? Well, we got up, we had some presents, we had a nice meal, we chilled out, and the day went, and then that's it. all a bit flat and empty. So that's what expectations do. Whereas if you just say, well, I've got no expectations, I've got no grievances, and because I've got no expectations, then you can just flow with life. Which is why the Buddha targeted. He said, look, if you let go of your expectations, you can actually be happy. As soon as you've got expectations, then unhappiness is going to arise by default. And just notice, observe in the next few days just how that plays out. Whenever you have an expectation, notice that a grievance isn't very far behind.
Yeah. Yes.
And so if you can catch the grievances at the expectation stage and say, okay, so I've got an expectation. I noticed that. All right, well, this isn't true. This is the source of all suffering. I'm setting myself up for suffering right now by holding this expectation. So I'm going to let it go. I'm not going to have an expectation. I'm going to let it go. And then people might say, well, you wouldn't do anything because, you do things because you're motivated by the results you're going to get. But that's the ego's way of looking at it. Holy Spirit just says, no, you're going to do it because it feels right. Because something speaks to you and says, do this, go there, speak to this person. And you feel into it and it guides you. And there's no expectation. It's just that's what felt right. So those are two different ways of operating. Either you're in expectations and grievances, the ego's thought system, or you're in the Holy Spirit and you're just going on this inner feeling, this inner knowing that, that feels that feels right. Okay, I'll go with it if it feels right, and if it doesn't feel right, then I'll let it go and I won't go with it. But you don't need expectations and grievances. In fact, you can't be in expectation and grievances in order to listen to the Holy Spirit, because they contradict that intuitive knowing, don't they? As soon as you've got a strong expectation, what does it do? Or a grievance, it covers that intuition over. You can't access that level of feeling and knowing anymore, can you?
Mm.
So it's about starting to become really aware of expectations and grievances. And these are just two aspects of the ego, but there are two major aspects. So if you collapse expectations and grievances, you've been enlightened. Person with no expectations and no grievances is what we call enlightened or awakened. So just by honing in on those two things and letting them go, you can attain full awakening. Sorry, Kim, question?
Yeah, just practicing letting go of expectations.
How do you practice it?
Mm.
Well, it starts with awareness. Okay, so you're noticing what's going on in your mind. You notice that expectation arising. Whenever you go out of the now, whenever you go into the future, you're in expectation, right? Or future outcome, future result, expectation, whether that's good or bad. Maybe you know, expectation is also worry. So people, expectations, some of those are nice, but a lot of them aren't nice. Worry is expectation, it's just an expectation of a negative outcome.
What
So you
about
let go of worry as well.
the normal expectations? Like, for example, someone said they were going to do my delivery yesterday and they didn't come. So I had a little sort of a mild grievance.
Yeah.
Because they had said, we shall deliver your product on such a date, and it didn't arrive. So there we go. There was an expectation because they had said,
which is, you know, a normal expectation, I guess. But you know, what's normal in this world is not true. You got to remember that the whole thing is systemically set up for expectations and grievances. So people go, well, you know, you said you'd come, so then I would logically expect you to come. But the enlightened person says, well, you said you'd come, but you didn't, and what? So what's the story I'm going to create about that? You see, it's a story of that. It's an interpretation of that. That's the problem. It's not the thing itself.
No, well,
it's your reaction to it that's the problem.
Yeah, I mean, as it happens, it was just a mild grievance, but all I did was just email and said, you didn't turn up. They sent their apologies. We will come tomorrow between 1 and 5. So I better not have an expectation. So they'll either come or they won't.
Yeah, just let it go. And paradoxically, when you let go of expectation, things seem to flow better.
Yes, it's true. It's true.
Things seem to happen more easily. But those expectations can be quite powerful in the mind.
Yeah.
And the more, you know, expectations you have of anyone or anything, any situation, the more grievances you're going to have. That's how it works. So practice no expectations, and you also practice letting go of grievances.
Yeah, it's just different expectations for different sort of situations. Yeah, like when it's a profession, you tend to think, right, well, if you're coming at 1 o'clock, you know, could you please come around that time? But again, it's another expectation, isn't it?
Yeah, but you notice how we set up for that in life. You know, we constantly being set up to have expectations. Oh, well, you didn't do what you say you're going to do. So, you know, therefore my grievance is justified because you didn't do what you said you're going to do. That's how the ego works. It's very cunning. And guess what? People don't do what they say they're going to do all the time. Have you noticed?
Yes.
It happens with remarkable regularity.
Mm-hmm.
So what's really going on then? Okay, so, you know, actually, is it realistic to have these expectations then? Because no one consistently does what they say they're going to do all the time. There's very, 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 very few people who are absolutely Like, yes, I say I'm going to do it and I'll do it, and it's always on time and I never disappoint. Very, very unusual to find someone like that. The majority of human beings are not meeting your expectations most of the time. So why then do you have them? If that's the case, and that's been the case for pretty much your entire life, then why do you still have them? It's an interesting question, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I think it's different levels of expectations, isn't it? I mean, if you've paid for something, then you kind of have more of an expectation. If someone just said, "Oh, I'm just going to pop round," because you've actually paid, then you think
Yes.
you have a right. Yeah.
Yes, but you see how it works. The ego is very cunning. Oh, now I've paid. And obviously, the more I've paid, the more rights I have, the more expectation I'm entitled to have. And the bigger my grievances. If I paid you a lot of money, then I can really be upset. See how it goes. It's hilarious. You gotta laugh. I mean, what a system, what a setup.
Well, it does. When you talk like that, it does sound a bit crazy.
It's ridiculous. Oh. Yeah, so if it's a minor amount of money, then it's okay. I don't have much expectation. But if it's a lot of money, then a big expectation. Well, who decided that? You did, based on this illusory stuff you call money. It's like now seemingly that's the barometer, right? That's the basis on which everything's decided. It's just crazy when you really look at it.
It is.
It's bonkers. And the heads tails analogy, it's like you flipping a coin and going, oh well, I'll be happy, not happy, happy now in the situation, not happy. It's a very up and down 50-50 deal with expectation. Sometimes they'll be met, sometimes they won't. Sometimes I'll have a grievance, sometimes I might have an expectation and it's actually met and I'm pleasantly surprised. But I can be sure that it's not always going to be met, right? The one thing you can be sure of when you're flipping a coin is it's not always going to be heads. There's going to be tails sometimes. And overall, it's going to probably even out to about 50-50 over time. So it's kind of it's a dualistic game. It's a very mixed bag you're playing, a very mixed game. If you're playing the game of expectations and grievances, you can't expect to be consistently happy, peaceful, loving, kind, because it's 50-50 at best. Maybe 50% of the time you'll be somewhat happy, but then you're always doubting the other 50%, aren't you? Oh, is it going to be tails this time or is it going to be heads? I don't know. Flip the coin, let's see. Oh, it's tails. Now I'm disappointed. Oh, it's heads. Good. You see how the ego is keeping you in duality and keeping you away from the peace of God that surpasses all understanding, which is beyond all of these trivial expectations and grievances, beyond duality entirely. In a place where there are no expectations and no grievances. There's only perfect oneness, perfect knowledge, perfect peace. Now, why wouldn't we choose that over this totally unreliable game of expectations and grievances? Your happiness is guaranteed. It's not based on a flip of a coin. Oh, you'll be happy now. Oh, the next minute, flip the coin again. Sorry for you, lost out this time. This time you're not happy. Like, that's honestly the game you're playing when you're holding expectations and grievances. Flip a coin for your peace of mind. Is that a reliable game to play? Is that the game you want to play? Or are you just willing to say, that's crazy to even play that game? I am that I am. My peace of mind is a given. And expectations and grievances don't mean anything. Therefore, the ego doesn't mean anything. So if you just approached this entire course and your awakening from this single perspective, I'm going to drop my expectations, I'm going to let go of my grievances as and when they arise, there's your spiritual practice for the rest of your life. That will awaken you. That's your forgiveness in action. You need to let go of those two things, expectations and grievances. And then you're free. Okay, so that leads us very nicely into today's lesson, which is a review lesson.
So simply like, okay, that's the solution. Moving along.
Yeah, well, it is. It is simple. I didn't say it's easy to do.
Easy. Yeah.
But it's very simple. Yeah, it's a choice. You have a choice. You can exercise the power of your choice in every moment to let go of expectations and grievances as you notice them, as they arise, because they will arise. We're set up for them in this world. The ego is so invested in expectation and grievances that it's going to happen. But when it happens, how do you then perceive it? Do you just, oh, this is just normal, I'll just keep on doing the same thing, i.e. hitting my head against a brick wall and bleeding and then blaming the wall? Or am I going to actually change my mind and say, no, I need to let go of the way that I am thinking about myself and about the world? That's the problem. Expectations and grievances is a thought system that does not work to bring me happiness, peace of mind, joy. In fact, it's a disaster of a thought system, if you're really honest. It's terrible. It's a train smash.
Quite a profound topic, really, isn't it?
Yeah, as it all is. But you see, you take one little aspect of this teaching and you hone in on that, and you really do that, and you really apply that, you'll awaken. That's how powerful these teachings are. You apply this, no expectations, no grievances. I just need to let go of them. You're awakened. You're done. You're home. Because the ego consists of expectations and grievances all the time. It's an expectation and grievance machine, setting you up to experience expectations and grievances all the time, 24/7. And the more unawakened you are, the more you're going to play that game. And the more awakened you are, the more you go, no, I'm stepping out of that game. That's a hamster wheel. Just going around and around and around, just thinking I'm getting somewhere, but I'm going nowhere. You notice, so one expectation, oh, then grievance, then another expectation, then grievance. Oh, I'm on a roll. I got 2 expectations met in a row. Wow, happy days. I'm so happy. Then bang, you go on a losing run and you take, 3, 4, 5 expectations in a row that aren't met. That's how it goes, isn't it? If you're honest about it, that's how life is set up in this world.
Yeah, because you're on a roll. Sometimes you just have a few months of life ticking along, and then
you think it's all great and all my expectation, and then of course it can't last. The ego can't stand peace and happiness, so it's got to then throw in something that violates your expectations
to wake you up.
Okay, so we'll give you an embargo on your account, as you experience. So we'll give you a death in your family. We'll give you a financial challenge. We'll give you relationship trouble. We'll give you, because now your expectation isn't being met. And now you have a perfect excuse for a grievance. And then all of that, as he said in lesson 73, the ego uses the figures in the world as middlemen to traffic in grievances. It's a lovely line. It's one of the most powerful, profound lines in the whole course. To traffic in grievances. And that's what the world is set up to do. So anyone you blaming for anything you blaming, maybe it's the weather you blaming, it's all part of the ego's traffic in grievances. It's running a racket, in other words. This entire world is a corrupt racket, and it's designed to get you to buy into that racket with your mind, with your energy, with your attention, with your money sometimes. But you don't have to play that game. You don't have to buy into the racket. You have a choice. You can see it for what it is and refuse to play the game, which is forgiveness. So let's dive into the lesson then. It's great preparation for today's workbook lesson, another review lesson. So this one is lesson 86, which reviews lessons 71 and 72. So we're talking about grievances, we're talking about God's or love's plans for salvation. So Elaine, if you can read that quote for us, kindly. Let me just go down to correct. There we go.
Only God's or perfect love's plan for my salvation or awakening will work. Or Holding grievances is an attack on God's or perfect love's plan for my salvation or awakening.
So two very profound ideas. Let's unpack them. Only God's or perfect love's plan for my salvation will work. And you might go, well, that's obvious, but it's not obvious, because we think, if we're in expectations and grievances, we are thinking that the ego's plan is going to work. The expectation is saying, I'm believing that another plan other than God's plan will work. And of course, it lets us down all the time. It fails us all the time. So when are we going to learn that that plan isn't going to work? It's never going to work. That's all we've got to learn in this course. As he says, a very simple course. It's never going to work. Just give it up. The ego's plan is never going to work. So why do you continue trying to make it work when it's not going to work? This is all Jesus is trying to teach us. And sometimes you just go, well, are we all completely stupid? Why can't we just get this?
It is
Surely it can't be that difficult. But it's difficult because we are so invested in the self-concept that dictates that we must have expectations and grievances. That's the problem. That self-concept does not want to go away. It says, no, this is who you are. You are defined by your expectations and grievances. You see the woman having an argument with a man there. Interesting. So now, if you're doing that frequently in your relationships, that starts to define you. Right? No, I don't take crap. I don't take crap from no one. I stand my ground. I'm gonna fight my corner. And the more you do that, the more that defines you. Oh, then what are you saying? I must have expectations and grievances in order to be me. And now you set yourself up for continuous conflict and pain and suffering in your relationships and in your life, because your self-concept dictates that. And this is just saying, but that plan's not going to work. So give it up.
Do you think that somehow attracts that, because it's part of your identity.
Yeah, exactly. If your identity is very invested in expectations and grievances, then what do you need? You need a conflict relationship. You need a relationship where you're going to get lots of grievances, right? So you create that relationship. And you go, oh, it's my let's say it's a special relationship. My partner's just a nightmare. He never does what I want. He's so uncaring. He's so unkind. He's just the worst. Da 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 yada yada yada. On and on I go. Grievance. Well, who set it up that way? You can blame him all you like, or her, but you set it up that way, and you perpetuate it by continuously holding the expectations and having the grievances. Just give it up. Okay, so they don't do what you want them to do. Like, just, so what? Why are you letting it upset you? No, because it should happen this way because I have a right. They being so selfish. I mean, special relationships are a breeding ground for this stuff, aren't they? Because now I have a legitimate expectation because this person is special to me. They should be really nice and kind and thoughtful, and they're not. Oh, no, now I have much greater justification for my grievances than just a normal person, just an acquaintance or even a friend. No, because this person is really special, so they must behave extra specially towards me. It's the same logic as the money. Yeah. Oh, I paid extra for this product or service, so therefore I have a bigger expectation. You see how the ego works?
Yeah.
All of that is false. None of that's true. That's just made up. That's entirely perceptual. It's got nothing to do with reality. It's just the ego's making, and it's made up a system where apparently grievances are justified. And in some situations, they're apparently more justified than in others. But this takes us back to first principles of miracles. There is no order of difficulty in miracles. Why? Because there's no hierarchy of illusions. An illusion is an illusion is an illusion. It doesn't matter how big or small or egregious or trivial it seems to be. It's all the same. It's a dream. You're dreaming. A dream is a dream is a dream. And when you awaken from the dream, none of it meant anything. You just realize it was all part of the dream. It's only in the dream world that you make these distinctions, which are artificial. That's why there's no order of difficulty in miracles. And that is the way out then of all the expectations and grievances. So you just go, but they're all illusory. Any expectation I have here, any grievance I have, it's happening in a false world, in a dream world. So I'm dreaming that I want that, and I'm dreaming that I'm upset because I don't have that. But it's just a dream. None of this is true. So this is God's or perfect love's plan for salvation, awakening. Just realizing that it's just a dream. So what are you getting so het up about? Why are you desiring and expecting and grieving over things when none of it's true? That's surely got to be insane. If it's just a dream and none of it's real, and you can just wake up from the dream, then why are you giving so much importance to these expectations and grievances? So you see how this is all tied in with this message of only God's or perfect love's plan will work. Because perfect love, by definition, because it's perfect or unconditional, has no expectations and no grievances. Otherwise, it wouldn't be perfect love, would it?
Mm-hmm.
Unconditional love means no conditions, i.e., no expectations and no grievances. As soon as you're in expectations and grievances, it's conditional love.
So that's then when motivation would sort of disappear, wouldn't it, really? You know, because that's one of the, especially expectations would be a motivator.
But you can be inspired. See, there's a difference between motivation and inspiration. Inspiration comes from the Holy Spirit, hence inspired, and that's just, it feels right. I'm not going because I have, I'm not motivated by my expectation anymore. I just feel that it's the right thing to do. I can't necessarily even say why. It just feels right. And so I'll do it because it feels right without expectation or grievance. And then you're in the Holy Spirit, and then life's easy. Yeah, you're still operating, you're still functioning, you're doing stuff. In fact, on a much higher level in the ego, but you don't have all that heaviness, that burden of expectations and grievances that most people carry. Life is light. You're free. It's just, you float through life. Okay, well, see how it goes. I've got no expectation or grievance around this. So what's the problem? It'll happen as it happens. And I just go with the process and I accept it. And that's being in the flow of life. So you operate on a different frequency. I mean, take this trip that I went. Did I come with a massive expectation? It was like, yeah, okay, you know, I want to close a deal, but it just feels right. It feels right to go. You know, I checked it. I was like, what does it feel like? It feels right. I can't really exactly say, I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe I do a deal, maybe I don't. Maybe I'm going for another reason. I don't know. But if it feels right, I must listen to the feeling and I must go. And then, you know, without that expectation, then there's no disappointment. There's no grievance. It's like everything's just flowed. And it's been, you know, largely really positive. I had one moment, yeah, because I nearly got a deal about a week ago, and it was like, oh, expectation arose, and then it didn't happen, and then there was a grievance. But it only lasted an hour or two. And then I was like, okay, just, you know, I just let it go. I went to the beach instead and just had a run and chilled out. It was like, because just you know, whenever you're feeling low and your mood is low, you know that's you've had an expectation and now you have a grievance. And you've been set up for that. So the answer is simple, just let it go. Just don't hold on to it. It was never true anyway. So we just got to get really good at doing that. I recognized that I was like, yeah, I'm not feeling great, low energy. My sister came along and said, you want to go out? I'm like, yeah, perfect. I need to get up. I need to just leave this behind, change my state, go have a tea, have a run, forget about all of it for a few hours, and it was fun. And then I'd let it go. It's like, okay, let's move on. Don't stay in that state. If you feel that grievance arising, then shift it, change it, let it go. And maybe that means you go do something else. Go do some exercise, go do some gym, get some fresh air, go out for a coffee, have a chat to someone. These are all ways to help you to let go of that feeling, which is really not a nice feeling at all, is it?
Was this today, Jonathan? Yeah.
No, this was last week. I was in Bloemfontein. We had quite a good meeting. I was like, oh, this could actually, again, I had no expectation. I went to the meeting. I'm like, okay, well, let's see how it goes. And suddenly it's like, oh, yeah, this guy could do a Chrome deal. And I brought the buyer in, and the buyer was like, yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, we can do this. It's all set up. The price is agreed. And then guys just don't communicate. He wants to go, nothing, tumbleweeds. We're not communicating. It's not happening. It's like, okay, just. But this was the arms deal I told you about. So I think it happened for a reason. These are where the principles really help you. Okay, all things happen for good. So I have to go, well, why does it happen? Well, because maybe I wasn't meant to do business with someone who deals in arms. Very simple. And it was an easy way to get out of it, right? Because once the deal had happened, it'd be like, well, now I'm just a cog in the machine. These guys are dealing directly and I'm getting commission, but like maybe that's not correct ethically. I mean, I'm obviously not dealing in arms with him. It's a perfectly legitimate business, but he's an arms dealer as well, self-confessed. He's quite proudly. He's like, yeah, I supply Israel, and okay, great. So, people are dying every day because of this, stuff you supply. It's not a good energy. It's kind of down there with the drug dealers of the world. So okay, I was meant to fail because obviously I wasn't meant to deal with them. I accept that, move on. That wasn't meant to happen. So just accept the lesson, move on. It was a temporary expectation and grievance, lasted 24 hours, gone, done, let it go, move on. So this teaching helps you to do that. Or if you can't move on, then you just get stuck in it, and you could hold that forever and say, oh, just like another, and someone else who just hasn't done what they do, and I'm just so unlucky, and the world's against me, and the world's full of sharks and crooks, and no one does what they say they're going to do, and you just become really bitter and twisted. And as you get older, if you've ever seen someone who's got older and they haven't known how to let go or forgive, it's not pretty, is it? They're just like full of bitterness about all the grievances.
Yeah.
And it's a very toxic, negative energy. And obviously, it's not good for your health either. The more grievances you hold, the more you're attacking yourself. As the second idea for today says, holding grievances is an attack on God's or perfect love's plan for my salvation or awakening. You're actually attacking it. I think it's a very good lesson because it's not just a block, it's an attack. Whenever you hold a grievance, you're saying, I am attacking God or perfect love. I am attacking love itself in this moment when I hold a grievance. And that's why it feels so painful. Because you are literally denying eternal being. You're denying who you are in that moment. We just don't realize that's what we're doing because we think we have a grievance legitimately because of someone else or something else, right? That's the illusion. Very, very, very cunningly, the ego set us up for that, but that's not the case. You're just attacking God again, and you're justifying it with some excuse that's in the external world. That's the way the ego set it up. So, okay, now you have a world to give you every justification for your grievances so that you can keep attacking God and you can keep denying who you are, and then you maintain your separate existence. See how it works? Ingenious, really. If you were going to create a system that enslaved your mind into believing you're a separate self, this is the system you'd create, isn't it?
Mm.
It's exactly what you do, and that's exactly what the ego has done. So now we just got to see it for what it is, unpack it all, and make the only choice we can make, which is to let it go whenever it shows up. So whenever you find yourself holding a grievance, remind yourself it's just an attack. I am attacking love right now. I'm attacking love's plan for my salvation or awakening right now. If that doesn't wake you up, nothing's going to wake you up, is it? Oh my goodness, we'll stop doing it then. But it needs to make these ideas explicit, because otherwise we don't know. We think I'm holding a grievance because of something or something that's happened, something someone has done or not done in the external world, and that seems to be legitimate. No, you're holding a grievance because your ego set you up for that so that you can continue denying perfect love, i.e. who you are. It keeps you in an unawakened state forever. As long as you hold grievances, you're not awakened. You don't know who you are. So there's the choice. But he makes it so clear and so explicit in these teachings that you cannot read them and not know the truth. You read these lessons, you're like, well, it's plain as day. You know, he's telling us exactly straight what the deal is, and we either accept it or we don't. All right, so 2 really powerful ideas. Let's dive into the very short teachings on them. All right, so if you read the original and the alternative sentence by sentence, one of you start with the original and the other one read the alternative. So who wants to do the original?
Yeah.
Kat, and then you go for it.
Only God's plan for salvation will work. It is senseless for me to search wildly about for salvation.
Perfect love's plan for my awakening will work. It is senseless for me to search wildly about for freedom.
I have seen it in many people and in many things, but when I reached for it, it was not there.
I have perceived it in many people and many things, but when I reached for it, it was not there.
I was mistaken about where it is.
I was mistaken about where it is.
I will undertake no more idle seeking.
You skipped one, isn't it? I was mistaken about what it is.
I was mistaken about what it is.
I was mistaken about what it is.
I will undertake no more idle seeking.
I will not vainly seek any more.
Only God's plan for salvation will work.
Only perfect love's plan for my awakening will work.
And I will rejoice because his plan can never fail.
And I will rejoice because its plan can only succeed.
Yeah, then from the top.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just read the original idea as well. The key idea.
Only perfect love's plan for my awakening will work. It is senseless for me to search wildly about for freedom or abundance. I have perceived it in many people and many things, but when I reached out for it, it was not there. I was mistaken about where it is. I was mistaken about what it is. I will not seek vainly any more. Only perfect love plan for my awakening will work. And I will rejoice because its plan can only succeed.
So thoughts on that?
Yeah, we seek and seek and seek in the ego's world, and we don't find it anyway for this salvation. You know, we think that we're going to get freedom or sense of peace and love, you know, doing what we do in this world, but it's actually only through God's plan for salvation or awakening, i.e. forgiveness, that we will succeed in being saved.
Yeah, or being freed, you know. Salvation is freedom, the capital F, or abundance. You know, it's just freedom or abundance that we're all seeking. Abundant life. Yeshua talks about it in the Bible. You will have life more abundantly so. Well, what does that mean? It means you're free, you're light. You're free of what? Free of expectations, free of grievances, free of all the negativity of the ego that plagues most people. Most people live in the darkness of that negativity, which is the denial of truth, the denial of God, the denial of love, the denial of light. And they think that that's reality. And they think that there's a plan for their salvation within that dark reality, that the ego, which has put them there, can save them. And it offers them always something outside of them. So it's go and seek there, you know, seek and seek and seek and do not find. That's the ego's mantra. But these ideas just cut through all that. I mean, brilliantly, in such a simple line. Only God's or perfect love's plan for my salvation or awakening will work. It's so clear. Very, very simple, clear idea. Okay. I mean, there's no disputing it. There's no like equivocation here or ambiguity. Only perfect love's plan for my awakening will work, and nothing else is going to work. That's the implication of it. All right. So we can read that. Elaine, if you can read that slide from our friend Kat, which just gives us a little bit of commentary, some other perspectives on the lesson.
Purpose: to truly recognize that only God's plan will work and to rejoice in this, for it means escape from the hopelessness of the ego's plan, from the pointlessness of trying to follow both plans at once. And our entire search for happiness centers on holding grievances. All those millions of little incidents of whispering to ourselves, "This is causing me distress. I'm going to change it," or instances of holding grievances. How do you feel about this idea? After all, grievances are angry. Do you like the idea that your search for happiness is motivated by anger? Do you want anger to be the driving force in your life?
Yeah, some really good questions there. So whenever you have a grievance, you're angry. Be honest, you're angry with someone, you're angry with the world, and most of all, you're angry with yourself. If you're honest about it, you're angry with yourself because of the incredibly stupid thing that you did to separate from your source, from your true awareness, and believe you're a separate self, and believe in a separate self over love. That's really what you're angry about. But then you project that onto other people and other things and say, no, I'm not angry because of that. I'm angry because of what they've done to me. And so then anger becomes the driving force in your life. Do you really want anger to be the driving force in your life? Very good question. Do you like the idea that your search for happiness is motivated by anger? Well, how are you going to find happiness from anger? Is that really going to work? As he said, is that plan going to work? No, just recognize it's not going to work. Only perfect love's plan for your awakening and your freedom and your happiness is going to work. So the ego's plan is really hopeless. And it's important that we recognize that. We can't awaken unless we realize the hopelessness of the ego's plan. All right, so Kim, if you can read that slide for us kindly.
Hopelessness of the ego's plan. If this were different, I would be saved. The ego's plan involves seeking to change the external circumstances that are causing you unhappiness. A plan based on grievances. At the root of the problem is our guilt, which stems from a mistaken sense of being sinful. As our just deserts, we bring punishment onto ourselves in the form of harm, ruin, and loss. We see this as if external circumstances, by some stroke of bad luck, are causing us unhappiness. We then move to adjust our external circumstances, but the problems keep reappearing in different forms.
Yeah, so we're always trying to fix it outside of us. Actually, the problem's not outside of us, it's inside. And so is the answer. So the root of all of this is guilt. Let's go have a look at the metaphysics again. So we have looked at this before, but always worth looking at it again. Where are we? My favorite diagram in the whole course manual, the descent into hell. It explains so much. So you see that underneath the individuality, individual identity, the self-concept of the ego lies the guilt at separating, the guilt for the sin of destroying God or love or oneness or being or pure formless awareness of perfect love. You feel guilty for that, and now that guilt is the engine of the rest of the completely dysfunctional, insane system. As soon as you go into guilt, which is negative by definition, you have denied love, and now the guilt creates a thought system that is incredibly dysfunctional and toxic and hurtful and harmful. And you think that this is now reality, when in fact it's not. It's the opposite of reality. So that's why guilt is at the foundation of all of it. And then that plays out in the fear, because guilt demands punishment. So now you're going to fear, you're going to worry. Expectation, a negative expectation is a worry. So you're going to have that. You're going to hope for something better than this. So the ego gives you desire. It says, well, you could have something that's better, nicer. And then it gets you to look for that somewhere outside of yourself, in the world that it's created. Out of its pain and its guilt and its sin and its fear, it's created this world. But now it creates these illusory pockets in the world where apparently there's something that you want. And those then become your expectations. Your grievances come in when those are not met. In the end, it's a system of victimhood, living a helpless, enervated little life of limitation, lack, loneliness, suffering, and inevitably death, because the whole thing is a death wish. The moment you decided not to be who you are, to deny your source, to deny life itself, you had a death wish, a wish to die. And that death wish now has to play out in the limitation, lack, loneliness, scarcity, suffering, and inevitable death. All right. A little recap of that. Go back to so happy with those three stages. You see how it all works. And then what we try and do is we try and fix it on the external. Now we're living in this helpless, innovative little life. We say, well, if I just change that, If I just did that, then I'd be happy. If I just got a better job, if I just made more money, if I just had another partner, if I just was a bit older, if I just lived in a different area, if I just had a better body, yeah, etc., etc. Then I'd be happy. To get me out of this helpless, innovative little life of loneliness and lack and limitation, the ego offers us these little scraps and says, yeah, there's something better in the world. Go get it. And when you get that, then all of this is going to be solved. But the problem is it won't be, because the thought system of separation and guilt and sin and fear and attack is still in your psyche. And you're still believing in that. So only radical forgiveness of that whole thought system as it shows up in the world is going to work. And that's exactly what the Holy Spirit does. It just reinterprets everything as it happens and says, no, this isn't true. Actually, the only truth is still God or oneness or pure formless awareness of perfect love, and nothing else is true. All right. Any comments or questions on this?
It's clear. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then there's some suggested forms for applying this idea specifically. So if you can read those, just sentence by sentence, you just read the 2, 3, and 4. So switch it. Kim, you read 2, the original, 2, 3, 4, and Elaine, you read the alternatives, sentence by sentence.
Okay, I'll also read the top part. These are some suggested forms for applying this idea specifically.
These are some suggested forms for applying the idea specifically.
Perfect love's plan for my awakening.
You're reading the top one, Kim. You're reading the original, God's plan.
Okay. God's plan for salvation will save me from my perception of this.
Perfect love's plan for my awakening will free me from my misperception of this situation.
The situation is no exception to perfect love's plan for my awakening.
Kim, you're reading the original, top here.
Sorry, this is no exception in God's plan for my salvation.
This situation is no exception for perfect love's plan for my awakening.
Let me perceive this only in the light of God's plan for salvation.
I will perceive the situation only in the awareness of perfect love's plan for awakening.
And then Elaine, just read the 2, 3, 4.
Oh, perfect love's plan for my awakening will free me from my misperception of this situation. And yeah, we'll continue. Yeah.
Yeah.
This situation is no exception to perfect love's plan for my awakening. I will perceive this situation only in the awareness of perfect love's plan for awakening.
So very powerful. Just those ideas. Okay, this is all part of perfect love's plan. Whatever's happening, it's working for my good. It's part of my awakening. Especially when it triggers me, especially when it seems to be particularly difficult, negative, egregious, awful, catastrophic, especially when that's happening. It's part of your perfect love's plan for your awakening. So completely turns it around. You know, as bad as it seems to be, this mindset says, no, actually, this is really good. You know, the worse the situation seems to be, the more it's part of perfect love's plan for your awakening, right? So you just completely turn it around and see it differently. You go, okay, well, this is good because it's showing me my ego. It's revealing it so that I can let it go. And this is all part of the plan for my awakening. So it's all good. All things happen for good. All things work for good. The logic is impeccable, but to actually do it in the situation is the test. It's all very well when you studying something like this and say, yeah, okay, I get it. Yeah, that theory really makes sense. Yeah, I get it. And then, of course, something happens. It really pushes your buttons. And then you've got to remember this. And go, no, it's all perfect. It's all perfect in its imperfection. You know, my best friend just betrayed me. I just lost all my money. The love of my life just died. Whatever. It's all part of this plan for my awakening. Okay, it's all good. It's all okay. God's got it all. It's fine. Now, you know, in practice, when something's really difficult, we won't go there straight away, will we? It's going to take us some time.
Mm.
But you could just applying these ideas rigorously to any situation would immediately free you from any suffering. You see that? Okay, well, it's all good. It's all part of this ultimate plan for my awakening, which is all I want. That's all I'm here to do. So bring it on. You know, I'm not here to get outcomes on the level of form and live happily ever after with a partner if a partner died, or have loads of money if you lost all your money. Or I'm not here to do any of that. That's not my purpose. My only purpose is to awaken, and I need these lessons in order to awaken. That means I'm going to free myself from the entire dream world. I'm going to escape the dream. If I really learn this, I don't need to come back here and be in a world where anything can happen at any time, filled with expectations and grievances, filled with disappointment. I don't need to put myself here again. So I'll perceive the situation only in the awareness of perfect love's plan for awakening. Just see it correctly only from this perspective of the plan of God or love, and there's no problem. There's no pain, there's no suffering, there's not a problem, nothing needs to be changed. It's all, in fact, perfect in its imperfection, which is lesson 8, step 8 in the 10-step letting go process. It's absolutely perfect in its imperfection because it's bringing up my ego that I need to become aware of in order to let it go so that I can awaken or free myself. Without this lesson, I wouldn't learn this and I wouldn't awaken. So it's all perfect. You get it? The logic's flawless. You can't really argue with it if you're open and honest and a little bit rational and intelligent. But of course, the ego is going to argue with it. It's going to try and find every reason for you not to believe this. All right. So that is the first review lesson. Any comments or questions on this one? Only perfect love's plan for awakening will work, and other plans will not.
That's clear.
Okay, all good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's read another one of these rather nice illustrations. Already, you know, I'm warming to them. I like most of them, and some really, you know, interesting ideas along with the illustrations. So next year I might actually get AI to work on them and improve them, but it's just that's a lot of work. So they are what they are for the moment. But yeah, give this to AI, can do a lot. Okay, so Elaine, if you can read that slide, please.
Yeah.
Pointlessness of trying to follow both plans at once.
Pointlessness of trying to follow both plans at once. Trying to suck happiness out of the world by modifying externals. Is the opposite of trying to fill it with blessing by contacting the light within. Can't see the bottom bit. See a little bit of it. Oh, there we go. While we are seeking an internal change that will open up deep wells of happiness within, we are still pursuing happiness through modifying externals. We've been following two opposite plans at once. How can that not guarantee failure at both? The result can only bring confusion, misery, and a deep sense of failure and despair.
So what's he saying there
Mm.
in summary?
Well, just saying, following both worlds is just going to lead to misery and despair, and seeking the external as opposed to the internal is just light and day. It's just so different.
Yeah, again, quite a nice analogy. The bee in the plants, in the flowers, seeking some kind of happiness from each flower. Oh, I go there. I'm gonna get my fix from the next flower. When actually, the bigger picture is that the sun is radiating its light and its warmth onto all of it and making it all possible. But you think your happiness lies in that specific form. Oh, I'm gonna get my fix of nectar from the next flower, but not seeing that there's one radiant source of energy that makes all of that possible, that illuminates all of it. So quite a nice worldly analogy to this. So whenever we experience pain, suffering, misery, despair, deep sense of failure and despair, we're in the ego's plan. It's very simple. You only experience those feelings when you're following the wrong guide. You're in the wrong plan. So as soon as you experience those, it's the canary in the gold mine, just saying, "Oh, okay, you're on the wrong track here. You're in the wrong thought system. Get out." In other words, let it go. Let go of these feelings, and just choose another way. Choose to let it go, and choose to go to the light within, in which there is no failure or despair, confusion, misery, failure, and despair. These don't exist in the source of all light and love. It's only in the illusions that we get caught up in that they seem to exist. Oh, and then another slide, Kim, if you can read this one. This is done in actually both the original and the alternative, because I changed it, I believe. So if you can read that for us kindly.
God's perfect love's plan. God's perfect love's plan involves connecting with the light or true awareness in our mind and recognizing that only this plan will work. We connect with the blazing light of our holiness or pure formless awareness in meditation. This is the antidote to our sin and guilt, which is the root cause of all our problems. Our problems either disappear entirely or we perceive them as inconsequential with no power to hurt us. Guided by God or perfect love, we become truly helpful. Let's read that part of the orange. Okay, workbook's first exercise in asking for guidance. What would you have me do? Where would you have me go? What would you have me say, and to whom? Okay, only God's perfect love's plan for your salvation or awakening will work, and other plans will not.
So thoughts on all that?
Yeah, I mean, God's plan is for us. Our salvation is to let go. That's the plan. We don't do that. We hold on to grievances.
So there's only one thing we have to do to be saved or awakened. One thing, that's it. It is the hardest thing we'll learn. Completely counterintuitive to the ego. It goes against all the world's thinking and teaching. So, yeah, it's it's quite a major thing to learn. But once you get it, it's like, okay, that's all I have to learn. Then, okay, let me just Let me just focus everything on learning that. My life should be dedicated to learning how to let go or forgive. That's why I'm here. That's my true function. That's my true purpose. But how many people know that? And how many people love that, practice that? Okay? I've only got one function here. And it's not to make money. It's not to be successful. It's not to have a family, a career, whatever it is that I define as important in this world. And there's only one thing I'm here to do, and that's to learn to let go of my belief that I am a separate self. That's the only reason I'm here. And God or perfect love has a plan in helping me to do that. So once we connect with this holiness, this pure formless awareness in meditation, which these lessons effectively are a form of meditation, our problems disappear, or we just perceive them as inconsequential. Like, okay, well, the problem's there. In your case, my account's embargoed, but so what? So what? So does that really make me upset? Does that justify me not being peaceful? No. So I'll do what I need to do to sort the situation out, but I'm not going to let it affect my peace.
Yeah.
And now in that state of mind, we're guided by God or perfect love, and we can be truly helpful to ourselves and others. Okay, I'll do what's required. Someone needs help, I'll help them. If I need to do something for myself to help myself, I'll do it. But I'm doing it in a state of loving awareness, in a state of peace, instead of in a state of expectation and grievances. Massive difference. This statement is quite profound. Only perfect love's plan for your salvation, awakening, will work. And the corollary to that is the other plans will not. I.e., the ego's plan will not work. If only God's plan works, then the ego's plan will not work. They're mutually exclusive. Forgiveness is the choice for God's or perfect love's plan, and to let go of all other plans, which is really just one plan. It just seems to take different forms. But the ego's plan is to hold expectations and grievances and to tell you that somehow is going to save you. Is that plan ever likely to work? Has it worked ever in your life? Has it worked for anyone in the world, in human history? No. So why would you expect it to suddenly work now? And then this state in the orange box, we ask for guidance. What would you have me do? Where would you have me go? What would you have me say, and to whom? So the course is guiding us to start asking these questions and listening to the answer, listening out for the guidance and saying, show me what to do, where to go, what to say. And I'm not motivated by my expectations and my grievances anymore. I'm just inspired by listening to this inner voice that tells me where to go, what to do, who to speak to, and so on, and how to do it. So every day, my meditation to prep for the day, I'm like, okay, well, show me, where do you want me to go? What do you want me to do? Who should I speak to? How's the day going to unfold? I put it in your chart. So you do that consciously with intention every day, and it starts to happen because the mind is powerful. That's why morning meditation is so important, because you can get yourself into this frame of mind, reset yourself into a miraculous frame of mind beyond expectations and grievances, just trusting the guidance and knowing that no matter what happens in the day, you'll be guided. There might be some tests, there might be some challenges. stuff happens, but you'll be guided in how to deal with it. So it's not really a problem. Which leads us nicely into the next second review lesson, which is all about grievances. Because this is what we fear. In our unawakened state, we fear the grievances. We go, oh, how am I going to cope with that? Things are going to go wrong. How am I going to deal with it? Well, if you're in the Holy Spirit, you just let it go. It's not a big deal. You just let it go, and you ask for guidance, and you trust that guidance. And there will always be guidance as to what to say and do about any situation. So you deal with it as and when it happens, which is the only place you can deal with it, right here and right now, without all of the expectations and grievances that sabotage your happiness and your peace. All right, so let's move on then to the second one, holding grievances and attack on God's plan for salvation. Who wants to read the original? And then the other one, read the alternative.
Holding grievances is an attack on God's plan for salvation.
Holding grievances is an attack on perfect love's plan for my awakening.
Holding grievances is an attempt to prove that God's plan for salvation will not work.
Holding grievances is an attempt to prove that perfect love's plan for my awakening will not work.
Yet only his plan will work.
Yet only his plan will work.
By holding grievances, I am therefore excluding my own hope of salvation from my awareness.
Therefore, by holding grievances, I'm excluding my only hope of freedom from my awareness.
I would no longer defeat my own best interests in this insane way.
I choose not to defeat my own best interests in this insane way.
I would also accept God's plan for salvation and be happy.
Instead, I choose to accept perfect love's plan for my awakening and be happy. Holding grievances is an attempt to prove that perfect love's plan for my awakening will not work, yet only its plan will work. Therefore, by holding grievances, I'm excluding my only hope of freedom or abundance from my awareness. I choose not to sabotage my own best interests in this insane way. Instead, I choose to accept perfect love's plan for my awakening and be happy.
Okay.
Yeah, just
thoughts on that?
Yeah, just simply saying that any grievances, then it's against our true nature. Our true perfect love is our only plan for awakening. So, yeah, holding grievances is the opposite. Yeah. You've got two choices, the insane way or the perfect love's plan.
It's an attempt to prove that God's or perfect love's plan for my awakening will not work. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to say, no, your plan's not going to work. Mine's going to work better. So I'm going to go down and do it my way. But like a stubborn child. I'm going to do it my way, and I don't care the consequences. I don't care that actually my way isn't the best way. My way doesn't work. My way is painful. It's like, no, I'll do it my way because of my way, even if it doesn't work. Just saying, okay, well, if you really want to do that, but don't expect to be happy and peaceful. Just expect a lot of pain, misery, suffering, until you're ready to change your mind and do it God's way. So when they say, you must surrender to God, you must be humble before God, it's really saying, well, I let go of my own way. My way is not going to work. And so I must surrender to a higher way. But very often, this is the value of pain. We have to go through experiences that are painful in order to realize that our way doesn't work. Otherwise, how would you know? If everything always worked 100% smoothly and you were just always in flow and happy and peaceful and loving, there'd be no need to change, would there? You don't have to change your mind. You're like, well, kind of got it. It's working. So it has to not work. You have to go through the pain of the grievances of it not working. Experience that in order to choose to accept perfect love's plan.
Come on then.
All right. So yesterday, you can read that slide. Kim, if you can read that one. Or no, it's Elaine's turn. I think Kim read the last one, didn't she?
Okay.
Elaine, you can read this one.
Yesterday, we repeated throughout the day, holding grievances is the opposite of God's plan for salvation. Ego's plan, resolve grievances by changing external circumstances. Opposites, in God's plan, resolve grievances by contacting the light within. And attack on God's Son is attack on God. It is perhaps not so apparent why holding grievances is an attack on God's plan for salvation, but let us consider the kinds of things which you are apt to hold grievances for. Are they not always associated with with something a body does? A person says something we do not like. He does something that displeases us. And there's a little thing there with our grievances. Every grievance that you hold insists that the body is real. It overlooks entirely what your brother is. He is a mind. It reinforces your belief that he is a body and condemns him for it. Herein is God attacked. What was in it? Specific applications for the idea might be.
No, so let's
yeah.
just discuss that first.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Any thoughts on what he's saying? So you attack anyone with your grievances. Okay, so grievance, someone's done something you don't like. Typical situation. Oh, how dare they? This is so terrible. Why have they done that? Why have they done that to me? How dare they? That's so unkind. That's so hurtful. And you immediately feel internally, you feel not very good. So what are you doing? You're attacking your own identity. You're attacking your own self in that moment because you don't feel very good, very positive. You project it onto them and you say it's your fault. But actually, in that moment, you're just attacking your own true reality. The moment you have a grievance, that's what's happening, because a grievance does not go along with unconditional love, which is your reality. See, it's so obvious, it's so self-evident, and yet most of the world still lives in expectations and grievances. Because it's obviously not that obvious. The grievance is a choice to deny your true self, to deny the awareness that you really are. And in that moment, you're experiencing something else, a separation from that, a denial of that. You see, that's what a grievance does. It makes you separate from who you really are, from your source. And it confirms that you are separate and that therefore you are the separate self who is now doomed to suffer and experience grievances your entire life. And there's no hope in that. And then also the grievance insists that the body is real. It's saying the body and all of the body's concerns, which are generally very petty, are real, and it overlooks entirely what you are and what your brother or your companion is. Everyone's just mind or awareness. I prefer the word awareness. your mind. Everyone is just pure awareness. But if you think that everyone's a body, and then you condemn them for their sins, their apparent errors, which now become sins that they're guilty for, committed in and through a body, you are attacking God or perfect love. Because in the body, in the sinful, guilty state in the body, apparently God is nowhere. Apparently perfect love isn't around, doesn't exist. And so there's the attack on God or perfect love. Does that make sense? Okay. All good, Kim, Elaine? We'll move on to the specific applications for this idea might be in these forms. So Elaine, you can read the original, sentence by sentence. Kim, you read the alternative.
Yep. I am choosing between misperception and salvation as I look on this.
I'm choosing between misperception and freedom as I perceive the situation.
If I see grounds for grievances in this, I will not see the grounds for my salvation.
If I perceive grounds for grievances in the situation, I will not perceive the grounds for my awakening.
The calls for salvation, not attack.
The situation calls for freedom rather than attack.
And then from the top.
Specific applications for this idea might be in these forms. I'm choosing between misperception and freedom or abundance as I perceive the situation. If I perceive grounds for grievances in the situation, I will not perceive the grounds for my awakening. The situation calls for freedom or abundance rather than attack.
Yeah.
It's just, if a grievance comes up, I need to choose between, freedom and abundance rather than the way I perceive the situation, rather than holding on to the grievance. So it's letting go of that grievance to be able to attain that freedom. And the letting go is about changing the perception.
Yeah. Exactly. Just to change of mind, choice to let go of the grievance. What could be simpler? He's just asking us to change our mind in every situation. And then whatever we need to do will come out of that change of mind. If you need to take an action, you'll be guided as to what to do. Maybe you don't need to do anything, you just need to forgive. Okay, notice that freedom and abundance are synonymous. When you're in freedom, when you're feeling free, then you're also in an abundant state. You're also living life in abundance. Just two different words for the same state or feeling. All right. So last slide. Let's just have a read of that. Kim, if you can read that, and then we'll do a meditation. Close it off.
We have seen ourselves in a body and the truth outside us, locked away from our awareness by the body's limitations. Ourselves in a body, truth is outside of us. Now we are going to try and see this differently. The light of truth is in us, where it was placed by God. It is the body that is outside us and is not our concern. To be without a body is to be in our natural state. To recognize the light of truth in us is to recognize ourselves as we are.
Yeah, and just a bit more down here.
This is us, the mind. Body is outside us and is not our concern. To see ourselves as separate from the body is to end the attack on God's plan for salvation and to accept it instead.
It's quite a profound line at the end there. To see ourselves as separate from the body. Most people go, well, that's crazy. How can you be separate from the body? You know, that's integral to your reality. It's who you are. But whenever you separate yourself from your body, you end the attack on God's plan for salvation and accept that plan instead. So we're ending this long-standing attack on God's plan. Very, very profound. Okay, so any other thoughts or questions, comments on this second review lesson, Holding Grievances? Is an attack on God's or perfect love's plan for my awakening.
No more questions.
No, yeah, all good.
It's very straightforward. I mean, you can't really argue with the logic of what he's saying. It's impeccable. So it comes down to, okay, I accept the truth. I accept what he's saying. Now it comes down to how disciplined are you about applying it? That's what it's going to come down to. And that's, of course, where most people fall down. They fail a lot because they're not very disciplined in applying it. They know the concept, the theory, but then they hold grievances all the time. It's like, well, you know, because it's saying grievances on attack on God. So why are you doing that? Because the ego gets the better of them and they forget the truth and believe in the ego's story instead, which is a complete lie and leading them down the garden path. But it takes a mental discipline, but to be very, very rigorous in terms of your mental discipline with this course and go, no, right? There are no exceptions. A grievance is a grievance is a grievance. And if I'm honest about it, I'm having a grievance right now and I'm experiencing the negative effects of that. So I'm attacking myself and I'm attacking my source right now. Do I want to keep doing that or am I willing to let it go? You know, a very simple, what was that, a 10, 20-second logical process can then help you let go of the grievance. Okay, given that logic, I accept it. You remind yourself of it. Right, the only logical thing to do is to let it go. Well, what other way is actually going to work? All right. So, all good? Very good. Very good.
Yay.
Yay! Nearly at the end. So, should we do a meditation to finish this off? Cool. Okay, so just
A shorter one, Jono.
Yes, yeah, I was going to say for me too, shorter one.
okay. Yeah, I'm also tired. So let's do 15 minutes, shall we? Let's just get the meeting controls. I'm trying to get to something's hidden there. There we go. That's what I want. All right. So This is a meditation on today's workbook lesson 86, which is a review lesson. So I'll just guide you through 2 key ideas. Just sitting comfortably with your feet shoulder width apart, back straight. Cup your hands in your lap, close your eyes, and start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. Breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. And the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Breathing in, pause, top of the inhale, smile. Scan your mind. And notice any negative thoughts or emotions going on, any expectations. That is actually a negative thought, even if it doesn't feel like it, because it negates the truth that you are already perfect, whole, and complete as you are. If you're already whole, perfect, and complete, how can you have an expectation outside of you? Neither can you have any grievances. So notice anything you're expecting or desiring or resisting. Grievance is a resistance to what is. Saying this shouldn't be there, it shouldn't be the case. Both of which are insane. So remind yourself of this fact as you breathe in again by saying that only God's or perfect love's plan for salvation or for my awakening will work, and no other plans will work. Breathe in the truth of this, accept it, embrace it. Realize that it's really senseless for you to search wildly about, frantically about for freedom or abundance outside of you, because it doesn't exist outside of you. You're seeking something that doesn't exist. So obviously that's going to be a frustrating pursuit. You may have perceived this in many places and many things. But when you reached for it, it wasn't there. You thought these things would bring you what you truly sought, this freedom, this abundance, but they didn't. They were illusory. They deceived you. They left you with an empty feeling, a feeling of disappointment, of being let down. But the truth is you were mistaken about where this freedom or abundance really is. And you're also mistaken about what it is. Say to yourself, I will not seek vainly anymore. I'm not going to indulge in this futile pursuit of seeking outside of me what I'll never find, and ignoring the only plan for my awakening that will actually work. So only perfect love's plan for my awakening will work. Only perfect love's plan for my awakening will work. And say to yourself, I will rejoice because its plan can only succeed. Because it's coming from truth, because it's coming from perfect love. There is no downside to it. So breathe in again. As you bring to mind any grievance, any difficulty, or any expectation maybe that's seduced you, remind yourself that perfect love's plan for my awakening will free me from my misperception. Of the situation. And this situation is no exception to perfect love's plan for my awakening. I.e., there are no exceptions. All things work for good always, especially when they don't seem to be, especially when things get really difficult. That is, especially when perfect love's plan is operational, you just have to see it, just have to acknowledge it, accept it, and apply it. And we'll perceive, I will perceive this situation, you think of this particular situation as troubling you, only in the awareness of perfect love's plan for my awakening. And then just breathe in on the truth of that, breathing in this perfect love, unconditional love into every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being. Is resting in this perfect loving awareness. So feel into that. Exhale and just blow any other plans away, any expectations, any grievances you're holding. Realize that it's really pointless to try to follow both plans at the same time. Just suck happiness out of the world by flitting from flower to flower, expectation to expectation. So any perfect love's plan for awakening or freedom or work. And related to this idea is the idea that holding grievances is an attack on God's or perfect love's plan for salvation or awakening. So holding grievances is an attack on perfect love's plan for my awakening. Breathe in on the truth of that into every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being. It's in the light of this true awareness. So holding grievances is an attempt to prove that perfect love's plan for my freedom yet only its plan will work. Therefore, by holding grievances, I'm excluding my only hope of freedom or abundance from my awareness by holding a grievance. Is this something I really want to do? Ask yourself, do I really want to exclude my freedom, my abundance, my joy, my happiness, miracles, and ultimately my true self, connected to my source, the very source of life itself? Do I really want to exclude this in favor of my grievances? And so say, as you exhale, say, I choose not to sabotage my own best interests in this insane way. Exhale out on the truth of that, just letting go of this insane thought system of the ego, like a dark cloud or a black smoke. So instead, say, I choose to accept perfect love's plan for my awakening and be happy. So just bring to mind any specific situations that are troubling you. Breathe in on those nice deep inhale breath. So you acknowledge the situation, the person or people involved, and apply these specific ideas to it. Say, I'm choosing between misperception and freedom or abundance as I perceive this situation. If I perceive grounds for grievances in this situation, I will not perceive the grounds for my awakening. Breathe in on the truth of that. It's a grievance or it's a miracle, which, remember, the miracle takes you back to your original state, awakened state. I perceive grounds for grievances in this situation. I will not perceive the grounds for my awakening or freedom. In this situation calls for freedom or abundance rather than attack. So finally, just breathe in and breathe this inherent freedom. So just breathe in and feel like this situation calls for freedom or abundance rather than attack. Breathe that freedom, that abundance into every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being. So just rest in this freedom, this abundance, which is your own true nature, your own pure, formless awareness, perfect love. Connect with this inner abundance, feel into your heart. Put one hand on your heart center. And just feel open, expansive, joyful. You're tapping into the frequency of awakening. Nowhere else to go, nothing else to do. Just breathe very soft, gentle, slow, relaxing breaths in and out through your nose. Just breathing and sinking. Any thoughts come up, particularly any grievances, just remind yourself as they come up and you think about them and you feel about the situation, the person, or people involved. Remind yourself that if I perceive grounds for grievances in this situation, I will not perceive the grounds for my freedom. And then just exhale out and letting go of nowhere else to go, nothing else to do. Breathe, relax, and be still. Breathe out, letting go of this dark cloud or black smoke, leaving you. Lower stomach into the spine, expel the last remaining air out. And just rest in this quiet, calm, empty, open, spacious awareness, which is freedom or abundance. Free of all expectations and all grievances for the next minute or so of deep silence. Just observe your breath and think nothing, just be for the next 2 minutes or so. Just gently coming back now into an awareness of your body and the breath, senses, and the world. And on the count of 3, open your eyes. So 1, just breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises, the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Connect with all of this. Stay very calm and peaceful, connected to this inner self, this abundant life within you. Set the intention to stay here. Any grievances, any negative thoughts, just exhale out, blow them all away with the breeze of your breath. Remind yourself that grievances attack yourself. So blow them away with the breeze of your breath like a dark cloud or black smoke. Going, gone. Pull the low stomach into the spine. Just rest here for a few moments in the exquisite stillness of the gap between breaths. It's also the gap in mind and thoughts, opening to your true awareness, pure formless awareness, perfect love. And breathing in on the count of 2, just noticing breath flowing into your nostrils, subtle smell, perhaps taste in your mouth, noticing what you're feeling and touching with your hands, noticing what you're hearing, surrounding environment, from a very calm, centered, and detached state. Love holds no grievances. Grievances hide the light of the world in you. So holding grievance is an attack on perfect love's plan for my awakening. Tell yourself that, and also that salvation, or God's plan for salvation, or perfect love's plan for awakening, is going to work, and nothing else is going to work. Only perfect love's plan for my awakening will work. So it is said, so it is done. And on the count of 3, open your eyes. So just take a minute to look around. Ground yourself back into the so-called reality by just noticing everything. Look around, just anchor the state in, nice, free, abundant state. Set the intention to stay here for the rest of the evening and on into your week, for the rest of the week. Why not? This is a state of flow, a state of inner abundance, freedom, salvation, whatever you want to call it. It's actually all really the same thing. So that brings us to the end of the meditation and of the session. So thank you for joining, Kim and Elaine. I enjoyed that. I'm also fading out, so I think it's time for bed.
Me too. Me too.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, hopefully that sets you up for a nice sleep. And yeah, I will see you again next week. What sort of day and time? So I think actually Archie said Thursday and Friday. So Thursday next week, Friday next week, would either of those work for you?
Yeah, that's good for me.
Yeah.
Maybe Thursday, yeah. Thank you.
Thursday, yeah. I may have flown the night before, but I'll be back in the UK, so we can if I do a meditation, I'll be okay. So yeah, maybe let's aim for Thursday evening, but I'll confirm.
Great. Thanks.
Thanks. All
Thank
right.
you. Good night, everyone.
Okay.
Good night. Good
All
night.
right.
Kim.
See you then.
Thank
Have a good
Bye.
week.
See you.
Good
Namaste.
night.
Night.
Namaste. Night. Bye.
Bye for now. All right. So that is a wrap for today. Thank you to Kim and Elaine for joining. If you enjoyed that session, then why not join us in one of these live sessions? You can go to lifepool.com, sign up to my Telegram group. You'll be invited. You'll also get daily quotes, mind training material, a lesson from A Course in Miracles in its original alternative form, movies, short breath breaks or meditations. I'll be practice the lesson, and a lot more. So if you want to dive a bit deeper, then go to lifepool.com. just put in your number that you use for Telegram. If you don't have Telegram, it is a free messaging app that, in my view, is better than WhatsApp. You use WhatsApp, it works very similarly, but it has some very cool additional features, which is why I use it. It's also not as busy. Most people use WhatsApp for their day-to-day messaging, but this can just be the dedicated channel for receiving your spiritual messages. So head over to lifepool.com, stick in your number for Telegram. If you don't have Telegram, download it on the Google Play Store if you have an Android phone, or the App Store if you have an Apple phone. It's totally free. Take you a minute or two, sign up with your mobile number, and bang, you're in. If you put your mobile number in, I will then be notified. So, yeah, look forward to connecting with you, maybe in the group, maybe in one of these live sessions. As I said, I'll send you invitations via the Telegram messages to join these live sessions in Zoom. And I hope to catch you on the inside of one of these soon. And if nothing else, and you enjoyed this content, please hit the subscribe button. It does help to grow the channel, and you'll also be notified whenever I go live. So you'll be notified, and it'll pop up on YouTube to tell you when I'm live. And if you missed the live stream, to know that you can go listen to the recording. So very much hope to connect with you soon. Thanks for watching or listening, and namaste, which means the freedom in me acknowledges and honors that same freedom in you.